So welcome to our program devoted to changing the conversation about our generation, Millennials. I'm Kim Nguyen from Brandeis University.
And I'm Sean Hewitt of the University of Alaska Fairbanks.
And we're the co-hosts along with 4 other students from around the country, and we are part of a nationwide movement known as the National Millennial Community. Panelists, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm LJ Furman from Western Connecticut State University.
I'm Audrey Moore from DePaul University in Chicago.
I'm Miles Lupe from Eastern Oregon University.
And I'm Megan Driscoll from Western Connecticut State University.
And today we're having a conversation about the real value of education for the millennial generation.
So I think a great place to start with this is just asking the question, what can the universities do to help prepare their students for this after higher education employment? And is there something they're missing or something they're just not getting to help prepare these students? Because I think it's been said that employers feel we're not prepared.
I agree with that statement, Audrey. Now, corporations are saying how students don't have the right skill sets. Now, how can you fix that? If you have local businesses pair up with the universities and have them have this real world experience and create and establish a working relationship, I think that would be a vital part of education.
Absolutely.
All right, I agree that we should have more experiential learning, but not just local. We have to think bigger, and we're looking to get into companies that can be influenced and can make change, and not just the local community.
How about we think about how we're learning and how we're consuming content? So a lot of us aren't even buying the traditional textbook nowadays. We're using mediums such as live streams, or we're watching content via TED Talks or whatever it may be. So a lot of students aren't even necessarily using textbooks. So let's reimagine how we learn and consume content. So reimagining that through the corporations by providing that content for us, and that's going to prepare us for the next level.
Absolutely, I think that is a great point to make. I know from my own experience, I haven't bought a textbook in quite a while, and the textbooks that I've been required to buy, I haven't opened it. So I'm just turning around and selling it right back to the next student who seems to think they need it. So I mean, an extra buck for me, right? But I agree, I mean, we are not learning in that same traditional textbook sense anymore, and I think it's time to develop with that.
So does any of you have solutions on how we can fix the problem?
I believe universities and corporations, whether large or in the town that we're going to school, should really collaborate and provide an outline, maybe a 20-page outline on the next steps and how we should hone our skills while we're learning and make those necessary to the workplace.
But not only the next steps, but they should also establish the relationship with them.
Yes.
So that, because networking is such a vital part of everyone's education, whether you're trying to be an engineer or you're trying to go and be a marketer for any corporation, it's going to be that relationship that gets you through the door, and that's how you learn.
Okay, but we have to ask ourselves, where does this solution start? Because what we're saying is there's a disconnect between the companies, the students, and the classrooms. And then we're saying that basically the companies should be creating the content for the classrooms. So how do we connect the companies to the classrooms? What do you think?
I think, so when I went to school in Germany for study abroad, it was a normal practice to take time off during your degree program. It wasn't seen as I'm dropping out of school, maybe for 6 months or a year. It was a normal practice to go and actually physically work in the environment that you want to get into.
Interesting, yeah.
Definitely, and I think my colleagues Kim and Sean have a different point of view because they've worked in the workforce for 10 years and went back to school. They're not the traditional student. So can you guys touch on that a little bit?
For me personally, I can just say that after working in an industry for 10 years and realizing that a lot of the classes I've been taking in my first year as a non-traditional student in college don't really relate to the actual real life experience. Like, there's nothing I've learned in the last 8 months that I could have taken with me for the last 10 years to actually be beneficial to me.
Yeah.
But don't you think that they're trying to round you as a student to make you more well-rounded so that you can take a class in theater if that interests you, and maybe somehow you'll learn something that can apply to your job come future?
And I think that's really important. If you're not quite sure what you're going to go to do after school, after your first degree, that you are exploring, that it gives you a chance to take a look at different things, and it's not a penalty because you don't know. but it gives you an opportunity for that.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And I see that as a very expensive way of finding ourselves in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, absolutely. Very true.
Yeah.
I think an inexpensive way that students could go around that though is, for me, it was starting in retail. So I just started out as a sales associate at a store nearby, and I worked my way up to open and closer, and then up to the opportunity to be a store manager. And I found that with that, just that one experience itself, and when I put that on a resume, it's really looking at employers and they say, wow, you did something here that could be applicable to this. So that wasn't necessary in the sense of the classroom where I got that, but I think it'd be great if we could have the universities work some way with that. And Sean, you've been in a company, in a business, so if you are an employer, what would you do to help reach out to that and maybe give that experience?
That's a good question. One of the best ways, I guess, to reach out to people is just be involved. Like, get the companies involved. What do they want us to learn? You can't have companies saying that we're not prepared when they're not willing to help us prepare.
Exactly.
So that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, especially I can attribute to a personal experience where a company came into our classroom and we worked on a semester-long project for them, developing a plan in order to solve a problem that they were posed. And they used us and the whole classroom divided into groups to generate ideas and insight as to how to work to this problem. And now I can take those skills and apply them to the job that I want after graduation.
Absolutely.
It's very simple. It's the fact that we have integrated marketing, integrated content. So what we're asking for is integrated learning.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to touch on
Absolutely.
that point. Yeah. Kim posed a question that the universities schedule and perform content learning as far as master's programs and undergraduate programs very differently.
Right.
Master's programs are definitely unique in a sense that you get to work with a corporation and you get to either take time off or you're performing information interviews and you're getting put in that sense of, go ahead.
Right,
LJ.
and that has a huge psychological effect on the students.
Very true.
It's about building confidence, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if you're working in an environment and you're touching on these brands, then you're able to build that resume and then you're building your confidence. And you know what, in this country it's really needed because when you go to some of the rural areas, it's upsetting and it's actually heartbreaking because there's a lack of hope. The students don't think they can get out of these rural areas. They don't think they can get the jobs that can change the world.
Kind of like how it's bridging the gap between those high universities with a ton of students, the Ivy Leagues even, with the small rural universities that have only, whether it's 4,000 students or possibly 1,500 undergrad.
So touching back on that, how the master's and bachelor's, all those programs, they're giving you that connection and that experience. Do you think there's maybe a stigma that the undergrads aren't able to reach that potential yet, and maybe that's why it's not being incorporated?
I think that the difference now that I'm in a master's program is that my first four-year degree was more of a survey of a little of everything. I got to touch a little of everything, and now that I'm in a business program, I'm specifically just looking at business information. And the comment about the textbooks earlier on, I don't learn a lot of things from textbooks in the MBA course. We have cases, it's a lot of pre-reading and discussion, it's a lot of analysis. So it's not a traditional textbook where you're reading in definitions.
Definitely. So what we're looking for is an integration of experiential learning. So that's something that's of emphasis in the MBA programs, but not so much in the undergrad because there is a stigma that we don't know what we want to do or we don't know where we want to go. So if there's an integration, a seamless integration of that study, then I think that would be a perfect, and that's what we're looking for.
Absolutely, I agree. I love that statement. I think that's an excellent point to make about all of this.
Right, and let's think about the fact, what defines a successful higher education experience? For me, first it's a direction, providing a direction for the students where they want to go. And then the second point is it's about giving them the skill sets and mapping the road in which they can use these skill sets.
Absolutely.
So could I pose a question to you guys?
Yes, please.
Would you'd say college or university, is it, do you find yourself just going to college to get the grade, or do you think you're going there to learn? Like, are you
Not
just
at all.
trying to pass and move on, or do you want to?
I can answer that because I go to school to, yes, learn, but to take it all in, to gain experiences by working with not only the professors, but other students, because they bring so much to the table from their own experiences, because that's a great thing about going away from home to college or university. You get people from all around the country and even all around the world, just having their own experiences and sharing them with you in order to solve the problem at hand.
However, I start to come to this precarious point where I've been taught all my life to study and then perform. It's retaining information that we're not getting. We're regurgitating. So something that I've tend to do is reach out to my professors more efficiently when I get to college. So I speak with my professors on a human basis, where I could say, what is your experience outside of the classroom, and really resonate with them, and then use their experiential learning and try to incorporate that into my own studies.
Right. And basically what we're getting at is the companies need to create the content. So where's the solution point? Whose responsibility is that? And if there's a disconnect between the companies, the professors, and the students, the person who's supposed to connect them, or the organization that's supposed to connect them, is the college and career centers. It's their responsibility to find those pathways.
However, that's a great point. However, I do believe that there's initiative on each one of those segments. So there's initiative on the students. We have to take the initiative to reach out. There's initiative on the professors, that there's value in those experiences.
Right.
And there's initiative on the career and services, because that's what's connecting, and that's what's going to create that seamless integration.
I agree with that, but as LJ pointed out, with the Career Center, they're the one who is supposed to facilitate this connection.
Right.
How can they facilitate it? And by investing in your Career Center and utilizing them, I think that's going to make all the difference.
Absolutely. I think we can all agree that right now there is a great value in today's education, and there are just little things that need to develop as we develop. It's not that they're not right or wrong.
Yeah.
Time's changing, technology's changing, and I think everyone so far is doing a good job of trying to keep up with that development, and we just need to work together to strengthen that.
Well, I think one thing we can agree on is this conversation can go on quite a bit longer, but
Yes.
we should probably wrap it up. So Kim and I would like to thank our colleagues from around the country for joining us today. We also want to thank all of you in the audience for listening in on the conversation. And if you'd like to help us change the conversation about millennials in America, please visit our website at nationalmillennialcommunity.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts.